Chicago. I'll say it again. Hello, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Chicago. Here we are on Michigan Avenue. Chris, thanks for tuning in there. We're streaming clear of the rear. Yeah, we're by the Sweetwater here. Finally getting out of work here. We're after the noon hour. We got about 12:08. I'm heading all the way back to Lincoln Park here because there's rain that's going to hit probably 2 or 3 this afternoon. I've been checking the radar. I think we got plenty of time to get up to Fullerton there. So we'll head up Michigan Avenue. Jose, how you doing there? Krista, thanks for tuning in there. Thanks, Chris and Prince and everybody there. So here we'll head by the Citizen M here, and I'll probably just head up Michigan Avenue. We'll cut through the Gold Coast and maybe we'll check out a tiny bit of Oldtown. I might cruise by the Ducks, and then we'll figure out which way we're gonna go then. I know I was talking about the zoo, but I might just go through Lincoln Park. Yeah, we saw this guy. He's got this old camera. How you doing there? Is that nice? So there, get your vintage photo. There you go. 5 seconds. Get a vintage photo there. 5 seconds. And we saw him further up on Michigan Avenue. That's a nice idea. So hey, here we're behind the Mather Tower here. Michigan Avenue. We got about 82 degrees. It actually doesn't feel too bad. It actually felt muggier this morning because it was threatening rain when I was walking in there. Dolores, taco jalapeno salsa, thanks for tuning in there. Krista, Michael Anderson, thanks everybody. How you doing there? Wes, thanks for tuning in there. Wes Green there. CALL. Let's see, I'm trying to read here. It just call me. It keeps moving here. Call me. Oh, call me Fat Jesus there. That's good. Crime Vault. Sharon. There, good. So here we got the light. We'll head across Viagra Drive. We'll cross the Chicago River. Look at that nice view. Start our walk here. We'll head up to Magnificent Mile. Yeah, Fannie Mae. Here's the Chicago Architecture Center there. And here, we went by the Blackhawk store there. Gotta look where I'm going here. Oops, try to get through here. Man, they're selling the concession. Hey, it's a cute dog here. Carrying the dog. Make sure we get to safely cross the river here. There's the St. Regis. There are all the architectural tour boats there. Yeah, there's a chance of storms. I know I was checking the radar. That's why I'm heading home here, because I know there's a chance of storms this all afternoon. I might not be able to do my TikTok walk at the usual time there tonight at 5 o'clock on TikTok, but that's why we're doing it here on YouTube. I'm doing my usual walk I do in the evening, commuting home from work here. We're doing it here at lunchtime, and then I got the laptop, and we'll work from home this afternoon. There's the Apple store. And yeah, feels pretty pleasant. Feels like a nice summer day here. I know we got storms coming, but man, looks everybody's saying hello there. Jean Baptiste Point du Sable. Yeah, tomorrow. This morning we were talking about William Wells. We can talk about Jean Baptiste Point du Sable, the first non-indigenous resident of Chicago. Why is he significant? He came with the French colonial culture. We know he wasn't a typical colonial Frenchman. He was probably mixed race. Certainly they classified him as a black man even in the records, and his wife was Potawatomi, but his name was French. We're not, the historians have researched him as much as they could. It's really hard with the records because he was here so early. We don't know if his mother was from Haiti and he came up through New Orleans. there's still a dispute about who his father was. There was Pointe du Sables in Michigan at that time, which Michigan, of course, was part of French. Well, it was claimed by France at that time with the Quebec and Canada. Of course, the French and Indian War changed that, but he was here after the French and Indian War in the late 1790s, 1780s, 1790s. He might have been in Peoria, and which makes sense. He certainly knew how to navigate. I'm talking about Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable. He knew how to navigate the portage to the Illinois down to the Mississippi and the Great Lakes, probably to Quebec. He was a trader with the French colonial culture with the Potawatomi, and that's why he married probably a prominent Potawatomi matriarch there. Her name was Kitty Hawa, and he sold his land to Kinsey around 1800 and moved to what became what we call the Louisiana Purchase, but at that time it was controlled by Spain. France gained control of it in the Napoleon. How you doing there? Hey, France gained control of it in the Napoleonic Wars, and then sold it to America because Napoleon needed funds to finance his wars against Austria and Russia. So, but Jean-Baptiste Pointe du Sable moved there with his wife and his kids. They had at least 2 kids that we know of, and we don't know what happened to them after that. So maybe if anybody knows. Hey, we got a saxophonist there, right by Casa Shai here. Hey, the Air and Water Show. Yeah, let's cross the street here. So we'll cross back and forth. I just, I want to catch this saxophonist here in front of the Carbide. Oh, this is the Intercontinental Hotel, the old Medina Athletic Association building here. Yeah, that's why it's a good place to cross the street, because we could show both the Tribune and the Intercontinental Hotel there. It's amazing relief. Hey, we got a saxophonist there. Look at that. Illinois Street. This is Illinois and Michigan. We came from that way this morning here. So, hey, Michigan Avenue. Yeah, peppy music. Jersey Shores tuning in there. Caroline, that's great. Margie, how you doing there? Christy, yeah, the Lunch Bunch. The Lunch Bunch is growing. Look, remember when we started the Lunch Bunch? There'd be like 20 of us, 50 of us in the chat there. And now we got 141. Usually our audience grows as we move through there. 50,000 people saw when I streamed for 3 hours there, the Bud Billiken Parade on Saturday. And that's my most successful YouTube live stream so far, so thanks everybody for being a part of that. We'll do the Air and Water Show. We'll probably do the Air and Water Show mostly on TikTok, but we might get some content on YouTube as well. It's nice I like to spread across multiple platforms here. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah, that's just people that viewed it. Only about 250 people liked it, but hey, we're finally getting some traction here on YouTube. Here, I like to, at this point, it's a slight slope down. It's very subtle here on Michigan Avenue. I like to zoom in to get the crowds here. And it's this long vista. You get this on 5th Avenue, all the avenues in New York, where sometimes you can look down and see the masses of people here. This is Michigan Avenue here, the Magnificent Mile. Here's the Pop Mart. Here's the Pop Mart. Yeah, let's check this out real quick here, because I'm not trying to, I'm not getting paid to do this. I just, there we go. Okay. How you doing here? Pop Mart here on Michigan Avenue. They got all the collectibles and stuff. I won't go back in the back because I might lose my connection here, but you get the idea of what it is. It's all these figurines and stuff here.
Are you live right now?
Yeah, is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
I'm primarily Chicago. Oh, that's good. Yeah. People ask about this, so I've been in here before, but yeah, that's good. Do you guys got any promotions or anything you want to talk about?
Promotions?
Or just what's the hottest selling items?
The hottest selling items right now, I think it's gonna be anything on this front row.
Yeah.
Tom and Jerry brand.
Oh, Tom and Jerry! Look at the Tom and Jerry's.
These ones are also hot, but it's only for online pickup.
Yeah.
I tell you, they sell out within 30 seconds online.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
And the Labubu, same thing. Probably
Yeah,
works.
that's good. Well, hey, thanks for being here. I'm glad. Yeah, thanks for saying. You want to give a shout out or anything? Or?
Nah, I just like watching.
Good. That's
All
cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's good. Yeah. See, hey, thanks. Appreciate it. See the friendly staff here at Pop Mart. People are heading in. Thank you. People are heading in here. Pop Mart here on Michigan Avenue. And yeah, she's got her graduation gown on. Maybe they're heading to the Harry Potter there. Who knows? Yeah, we'll go by the Harry Potter store there. I'm in a fun mood today, so maybe we'll peep inside the Harry Potter store. I won't stay there long, but it's on the way here. Let's see if we stay on this side of the street here. There, Michigan Avenue, Chicago. There's, you can tell there's some rain gathering there. There's some clouds there. We're got 3 seconds here. There, Michigan Avenue. Ohio Street. Yeah, we're looking for something new. This used to be the Under Armour, but I think some other stores supposed to go in there. Yeah, welcome to the lunch walk there. Yeah, if there's a line at the Harry Potter, we'll skip it. You know, I haven't gone by there often in the middle of the day. I usually go by there in the mornings and the evenings, or after 5 o'clock, and we'll see what it looks like. Yeah, our kind of town Chicago is. Ernie's at work there. Working a double shift. Oh, Ernie. But hey, I saw you were posting some good video there. You've been all over the place. Ernesto Chicago Nuggies. Everybody please check out Ernesto Chicago Nuggies there on TikTok. And one of the fellow Chicago live streamers. Tom and Jerry, did you see that? Yeah, Dolores. So here we'll head across the street. We'll come back across for the Harry Potter. So we cross back and forth, back and forth. We got 12:20 in the PM here, Chicago time. We're crossing Michigan Avenue at Ontario. There's the RIU. They got the glass-bottomed balcony there that you can see the skyline. It's a hotel chain from Spain. They built 28 stories there on Ontario, just off of Michigan Avenue. No parking. They have no parking for the hotel, which is amazing. And here we'll cross here at Ontario. That's Streeterville that way. This is Michigan Avenue. See, look at these beautiful athletic clubs. There's a men's and women's athletic club here on Michigan Avenue. They're still used to this day. They're private clubs. There's the big bus. You can take the big bus tour right up Michigan Avenue. I saw Christopher Dotson and his friend did that when they were in town. Yeah. Hello. Yeah, thanks everybody for tapping the screen there. Thanks McRae and everybody else here. Oh, here's the giant Starbucks. Michigan Avenue at Erie. Yeah, maybe we'll cross once we'll go back across Michigan because the Harry Potter store is over there. Yeah, you live here in Chicago. That's great. And so do I. We do this almost every day, at least when I'm working out. Hey, there's a Corvette there pulling out. So here we'll head back across Michigan. We'll get a nice view. This used to be the Crate and Barrel, of course, and now it's the Starbucks Reserve Roastery. 4 levels of coffee drinking. We'll head up by the water tower. That's where we're heading here. We're heading all the way up to Lincoln Park here. I'm trying to get home before the rain hits. Yeah. What's happening there, Tony? What's shaking? Oops. Here we're trying to navigate the street here. 86 degrees. Yeah. Yeah, Lincoln Park, the band. Yeah, I'm walking home. So here's the Harry Potter store. So I know of 3 Harry Potter stores. Please, people, let me know if there's another one. I know there's Orlando at the Universal, but these are actually in the cities, in London, New York, and Chicago. There's a Harry Potter store here. So they got the Patronus stag there, Harry Potter's spirit animal here, and we'll head right through the revolving doors. You get, how you doing? Harry Potter store here on Michigan Avenue. You get the butter beer. You got this nice digital screen here with the windows. So Harry Potter, you can go all to the four houses, Slytherin, and hey, you got the hat there. Oh, you're taking a picture there. Happy birthday. Somebody's having a birthday here at the Harry Potter store. See, they got the cauldron here. You can get your, Gryffindor, all the four houses, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, all your wizarding supplies here, Hogwarts, Slytherin. Here's the, probably the most popular, the magic wands. They got all the magic wands. Dragon heartstrings, all the magic wands here. It always reminds me of like a craps table. Look at all these wands. Get here at the Harry Potter store. This is in Chicago. So in the back they got, get the jelly beans. You get your little Harry Potter plush there. Games. You get your butter beer. They even have like, see the flying books? Here's the flying books at the Harry Potter stores, all the flying books. And Hufflepuff. Hey, here's butter beer. So here's the line to get, you get butter beer here. It's kind of a butterscotch root beer, I guess. I've never had it. And there's other things you can get. And then there's like a little places to sit here. Yeah, it looks fun. Isn't that plush? Yeah, look at this. You got the egg there. There, you see, here's the mermaid. There's the Harry Potter Chicago. You can take a photo right here. And we'll head out the door here. Yeah, we made it. So there's a little brief overview of the Harry Potter store here on Michigan Avenue. Thanks for tuning in. We got some footage here on YouTube. We'll head right up to the water tower. This is Huron and Michigan. Chicago here, North Michigan Avenue. They used to call this the Magnificent Mile, but it's not as magnificent as it used to be, but at least it's still here. Yeah, you spent a lot of money there. Yeah, they got the crazy jelly beans. That was how they, remember the promotion they did back in spring when they did the grand opening. That's when there were lines when they did the grand opening. And Nick Koiken had a good video of how long the lines were. Ernie filmed it too. So did Edwin. Several Chicago live streamers got some good footage of it. Now it feels humid. I went in that store, the air conditioning. Now I feel hot when I went outside, but 82 degrees here. We're Superior, Michigan Avenue. We're heading up to the water tower. We'll get some nice views of the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan. And we'll get to the water tower here. There's the one Chicago tower to our left. Well, see, that's looking towards Streeterville, the Olympia Center. There's the one Chicago tower there, right there. That's the Superior Street. It's over at State and Superior. We're at Michigan and Superior looking west. Hopefully that rain cloud will hold off. There, Tiffany and Company. Yeah, Tiffany, New York chain here in Chicago. Sister, Osaka, Japan is the sister city of Chicago between the United States and Japan there. Yeah. It doesn't smell as bad as I do. There you go. So how bad do you smell there? I know I'm not supposed to engage with stupid comments, but that cracks me up there. People always try different ways to get attention. Here's, yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at the big brain on Rob there. How bad do you smell, Rob? Hopefully you smell as bad as I do, because I'm pretty stinky. Don't you wish you had smell-o-vision? Willy Wonka smell-o-vision. Here's Chicago and Michigan. Chicago's Avenue. Here's the water tower. There's the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan. Hey, look at that. There's the Park Hyatt, the Nomi restaurant. We're right here in Chicago. We're waiting across the street here. You always got to wait for the left turns. There's the big bus. There's hardly any. Well, there's a few people on it. Probably most people are down in the air conditioning here. We'll wait for the left turns here. But hey, welcome to Chicago. We got 82 degrees. Heading home at work here, trying to beat the rain here. And yeah, let's just cruise on past the water tower here. Survived the 1871 Great Chicago Fire. Natalie's tuning in there, and hey, Hannah, how you doing there? I like your name there. Yeah, get your fix, get your kicks on Route 66. Route 66 starts in Chicago too. We filmed that. That's down in the across from the Art Institute though. But hey, here's the look at that view. You can look up the water tower and the John Hancock here. We got a nice fountain here. This is where they put the Christmas tree in the wintertime. Here, I'm gonna get a drink of water. This day, when the horse-drawn carriages used to start here, the horses could get a drink. Look, the dogs can get a drink down there. The humans can get a drink right here. Yeah. There's the water tower, castle-looking thing. Pump houses across the way. It used to filter the water from the lake there. Nana, how you doing there? I did my fries and mayo. How you doing there? Nice to see you again. Travel the world there. Yeah, hydrate. Yeah, got to stay hydrated in the summertime. I agree. Thank you. Here, so we'll go by Loyola, Paul Stewart. Here's the Nomi restaurant, Park Hyatt. See Loyola Water Tower campus there. Sister Jean, the Ramblers there. We've gone up to Rogers Park, north of Edgewater, right where the lakefront campus is for Loyola. This is the downtown campus. Northwestern, DePaul, UIC, University of Chicago, they all have a presence downtown. And yeah, it's looking pretty clean there. Yeah, the Cubs are playing the Blue Jays, right? I think the Cubs are on the road. The White Sox are in town. The White Sox are playing Detroit in Chicago. They lost yesterday. Detroit's pretty good. Cubs have been dropping a lot. Milwaukee's been I think Milwaukee's on a 10-game winning streak. They've had like 2 10-game winning streaks, and that's why they pulled in the first in the NL Central, which is impossible to keep up with their pace. They're just on a tear. But the Cubs are still trying to stay in the wild card race, maybe make the playoffs. Thankfully, the White Sox have won more games than they won last year, or they're on pace to, so that's about the best we can expect from the White Sox. There's the Quigley Center. Yeah, the Archbishop Quigley Center. They got that beautiful round window here. The seminary was where they used to train the priests for the Catholic Church, but now they use it as offices. And it's such a beautiful building here. Look at that. But here we're right across from Bentley Gold Coast. You got Rolls-Royce, Maserati. It's easier to look at it at night. You can look in the window, Lamborghini Gold Coast here. Sometimes on weekends they'll have them parked here. Yeah, there you can see my reflection there. They changed the windows so it's harder to look in there. Maybe they beefed up their security here. But here we'll head past the Rivian. There's a statue to Quigley there. Yeah, the Chicago Pope. The Chicago Pope's a White Sox fan. Likes the Aurelio's Pizza there. Yeah. There you go. Chicago Cubs and Blue Jays tonight at 6:10. Thanks, Taco. Thanks for the good info. Ireland. Yeah, Ireland's tuning in there. That's great. Craig, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we're clear to the rear. We're streaming worldwide. We have people tune in from all corners of the earth. Thanks for checking out Chicago. And here we'll go through, they call this Connors Park, Chestnut Street and Rush. So we were off of Michigan Avenue. Now we're on Rush Street. We often angle up Rush Street because, see, here's how far we are from Rome, Paris, London, Los Angeles, Washington, D.C. Oops. Here's the Jenny's Ice Cream, Connors Park. Yeah, look at that Chicago bench there. We got these crazy ones here. Vermont, how you doing there? Thanks for tuning in from New England. That's good. Yeah, we need the Pope to save us. Lots of idiots. I'm an American idiot. Be like the Green Day song. I want to be an American idiot. Nah, nah. There's Tesla. But here, yeah, this is a nice tree here. So, Sofitel, it's a French-inspired hotel here. We're still on Rush Street. This is where Wabash comes into Rush Street. Before we cross over, I'll show you. You can look back, and Wabash lines up. Well, we'll cross Wabash here. This is working out. We're at Delaware. See how you can look all the way back south on Wabash, the back side of the Trump Tower there, out lines up with the street there. So here, look at this housing. Look at the density of this housing here. This is on Delaware. Here's the Tesla. So there'll be a really good view to the Sears Tower in the 900 North Michigan building here. We'll keep posted this way. There it is, 100 stories tall. The John Hancock. There's an observation deck on the 94th floor. Here's Jack Romello Way from the Bulls there. So yeah, they're putting a new store in here. MEJURI. That's good here. So a new store is going in here on where Wabash meets Rush Street, and we'll head up on into the Gold Coast here. No, this is Chicago. Thanks for tuning in. I know it looks like New York. Like, for example, we're going to go by, this is the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, but it's the one in Chicago. It's not the one in New York City, which is the real, more famous one. This is a, branch of it, whatever. But see, they got the St. Laurent, and then there's condos also in this building. This is a mixed-use building, a hotel mixed with residential. A lot of the big, tall, luxury high-rises in this area are hotels mixed with either offices or hotels and housing. And so here we'll cross. Here's Dior. There's the Ritzia. This is Walton Street. Where the Lululemon is here, this used to be the Gino's Chicago style pizza, which is now Gino's East in Streeterville. See, there's the Waldorf Astoria building, which is condos above, the hotels at the bottom. Here's Versace, Brunello Cucinelli here, Celine, Glazier, Madewell. Oak Street's the Rodeo Drive of Chicago. It has, Hermes, Prada. You go down the other, Chanel and Armani. All kinds of high-end jewelry and fashion shops. It also has Bravco Beauty, a local Chicago mom and pop owned business that's been there for 45 years. Check out Bravco Beauty. Here's Valentina, Cartier. But here we'll head up towards Mariano Park here. We walk through all the time. The reason I'm here, this is my commute from the office to home. I'm heading home here early today because there's rain in the forecast. We got about 82 degrees. There was dark clouds this morning, but fortunately we danced through the raindrops and made it to work without getting drenched. So I'm going to be cautious, and that's why I'm heading home now. Carlos is tuning in there. Yeah, New York has a rat problem. That's why Kenny, KB NYC or NYC KB, I forget how he does it. Kenny films the rats there in New York City. He has 300 to 400,000 people on TikTok that follow him because and he does other things. He works at the pizza store there on Queens off the 7 train. I met him when he came to Chicago. He's from St. Louis. He knows all day New York City. He knows Joshua Block. Joshua Block knows him. Here's Tavern on Rush. Here's Gibson's. Here's Hugo's Frog Bar. We're on Rush Street here. Yeah, they're delivering the salads there. Come out here, get your wine, and have a nice meal here at Gibson's Steakhouse here. This is Bellevue and Rush. Very, very friendly greeters here. And we'll head up on into Mariano Park here. Yeah, so you got seating. You can overlook this park. Here's the Bellevue. That used to be the Tavern on Rush. Now the Tavern on Rush is there. Hey, yeah, I'm Brian Really Chicago. How you doing?
God,
hey, that's good. Thanks for saying hello. That's good. What? Yeah, that's good. I'm on YouTube right now. That's good. So hey, friends and neighbors there. That's good. So yeah. See, thanks for saying hello. And here's the fountain here. Whispers. See, you go to the Whispers here. They got doggy licks, frozen dog treats. They'll bring out the gelato later. They got fresh squeezed juice. You can sit here by the fountain. They got dog water, bones for the dogs there. You can sit out in the chair here. And here. Let's see, I'm missing that. Yeah, Gibson's is, you can get a good steak at Gibson's. It's not cheap, everything for a price. There's the Chicago Chop House. You can go to Gene and Giorgetti's under the tracks. That's why we were talking with that guy. Frank Sinatra used to like to go to Gene and Giorgetti's. It's down on Franklin and like, what, Grand or Illinois, somewhere down there north of the Merchandise Mart. We're almost at the Gold Coast here. They call this Mariano Park. The Viagra Triangle, Rush Street. They used to call it the Viagra Triangle because there was a lot of nightclubs here where old men like me with sports cars would hit on the younger women all decked out there at the clubs. And that's why they called it the Viagra Triangle. Here's the Devereaux. Well, that's gone. Now it's the Viceroy. The Viceroy used to be the Cactus. We're on Rush Street here. Lou Malnati's, Chicago style pizza. You can go to Lou Malnati's here. And we're heading up Rush Street. We'll probably head up State Street a little bit. I'll show you the original Playboy Mansion and the Webster House where they used it for that TV show. There's some great Art Moderne architectural style buildings, and there's some Victorians, or one Victorian, the Webster House. Queen Anne style, and some beautiful housing up in the Gold Coast there. And then we'll cut over to Old Town. You just joined me in Chicago. I'm heading home from work here at lunchtime. We got 12:40 in the PM here, and see, it's starting to cloud up. And I notice it's getting more humid, like the dew points rising or whatever. Is that how it works? Here, we'll get across Elm Street. There's the Hangy Uppy. There's the Hangy Uppy, State Street. And yeah, who's looking up to Al Capone? Al Capone was a pariah. They got him on tax evasion. You know, should we list the amount of violence that happened in this city? Watch Boardwalk Empire, you know, and I know that glamorized it, but. And there's still real people that live in Chicago that are connected to these families. Often I talk about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. We talk about Dean O'Banion, the North Side, and Schofield's Flower Shop, which is across from the Holy Name Cathedral. Jaime Weiss was murdered on the steps of the Holy Name Cathedral Church. If you take the Untouchable tours, they'll take you there. There's people still living in Chicago that are descended from Jaime Weiss. One time, a woman, she was tuning in, she was like, yeah, Jaime Weiss was my grandfather. And I was like, whoa. It makes it real, you know. It's a living history. And you can watch Casino. That talks about the syndicate was still active in the Las Vegas casinos. They in the movie they call it Kansas City, but it was really Chicago. And when Joe Pesci's character gets buried in the cornfield there at the end, that was in Indiana. That really happened. And he was a real guy, and he lived in Chicago. And and Las Vegas, of course, you know, with the Bobby De Niro's character there for the Casino movie. But here, look at this beautiful Division and State Street. They got the CVS, they kept it. Here's this Art Moderne, and it's Andrew Robori. Andrew Robori is the architect. We'll pass two Andrew Robori designed Art Modernes. It's got the glass block. This was built in 1936. There was hardly anything being built in the United States in 1936 because it was the depths of the Great Depression and all the banks had problems. But there it is, and look at that. And Andrew Robori had made an amazing like he started out doing Renaissance, European Renaissance revival styles because that's what his clients wanted earlier in his career. And when he became established, he started branching into Art Deco, and then he eventually got influenced by Art Moderne and created these. It's a residential multi-family. There's a bunch of units there. You go down the side, and this is on State Street, just north of Division, and we'll pass another one on this side of the street as we head towards the original Playboy Mansion here, the Gold Coast of Chicago. And Frank Sinatra used to hang over on, we'll go by the Pump Room booth number 1, and now it's called the Ambassador Room. It was a celebrity, the Rat Pack used to hang back out there in the 50s and 60s here. Yeah, Chicago PD, they still film Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med. Sometimes we run into filming locations there. It's very smoky in Minnesota from the fires. Yeah, we were getting that poor air quality when Lollapalooza was going on. We had cooler air because it shifted from the north. You probably get in Minnesota. We're getting warmer air from the south now. So hey, he's got a Insta 360 or something there. Look at this nice block. This is on State Street, Gold Coast, Chicago. We're heading up towards Goethe Street. Hey, 240 people, 200 people. It's funny how it pops up and down, It pops up and down. Look, Better Homes and Gardens there. Look at that nice balcony. And the landscaping here. Got nice sculptures and things like that. Yeah. State Street, that great street. Yeah, the Playboy Mansion, we're going by it. So Hugh Hefner, he started the Playboy magazine in Hyde Park from his apartment. And then once he started making money off of it, he bought a mansion here in 1959. We'll show it to you. I'll wait to do the spiel here. There's a parking lot. There's the Pump Room. So when that nice gentleman, when we were at the Twin Acres there, was talking about Frank Sinatra. Of course, Frank Sinatra went more than just 3 places. The 3 places he listed, he would go to Rosebud there on Taylor Street in Little Italy too. But like he said, if he wanted to be seen when Frank Sinatra was in Chicago, he would go to the Pump Room. This is the Pump Room. It's a historically famous restaurant here in Chicago, kind of a club. And he'd go to booth 1 because it was the most, everybody would see him going in and out there. And now it's called the Ambassador Room, the Ambassador Hotel. But this is where the Pump Room was at here in Chicago on State Street. They call this the Ambassador. And the 2 other ones called the Churchill. These amazing addresses here on State Street that at one time used to be very prestigious addresses to be living right here at that time. He's being glorified too much. Who's being glorified? Frank Sinatra or Hugh Hefner? Yeah, I know. I got to make sure I know which person you're referring to there. Or Al Capone. Yeah, I know we were talking about Al Capone. No, Al Capone, as far as I know, did not go to the Pump Room. Al Capone was in Alcatraz in the 30s. They put him in there for tax evasion. You watch The Untouchables, Elliot Ness. Al Capone lost his freedom in the early 1930s. The government couldn't get him on racketeering or even the distribution of liquor. They got him on tax evasion. Here's the second Art Moderne here. This is the second one designed by Andrew Rabori here. This Art Moderne here. I'll show you the Florsheim house here. Andrew Rabori, Edgar Miller. Edgar Miller's associated with the Carl Street Studios. We'll go by there on Burton Place. Bertrand Goldberg's associated with this. He might have been younger when he worked on this. Bertrand Goldberg, of course, did Marina Towers. 3 architects or designers associated with this rare Art Moderne. I think 1938. So that one was built. The other one was built first, and then this one was built. Look at that glass block here. This is on State Street, across from Banks. This is Banks Street. 1330 is the address. So where this, of course, this is going to mess up my spiel. They're blowing the leaves, so you're going to have to right where the original Playboy Mansion is. They're blowing leaves here. So Welcome to Chicago, welcome to State Street. Here's the original Playboy Mansion to our left here. Hugh Hefner bought this in 1959. The original mansion, he had a pool in the basement with a trap door that was like a fire pole that you would slide down there. And so all through the 60s, this was the original Playboy Mansion here on State Street. Now you can live there. They divided it up into several units, and you can buy a unit in the original Playboy Mansion if you want, if one's available. But here's State Street, Gold Coast, Chicago. Yeah, lots of stuff to do. Thanks for checking out Chi-Town here, Chicago, Illinois. Hey, look at that nice patriotic scene. You got the flag there. Look at those hydrangeas. Was that what that is? Look at the nice landscaping here, Better Homes and Gardens. You got a nice, easy to maintain patio in your front yard. Look, Queen Anne style. Look at that beautiful turret there on the side. Here, Schiller Street. We're Schiller Street and State Parkway here. Gold Coast, Chicago. There, right across the street. I like, you know, it's always tragic because I'm sure there was a Gilded Age mansion on this corner that was torn down, changed hands at one time to build this thing in mid-century modern. But, you know, they added underground parking. You go down there to the lower level, and then you see how the entrance is the bridge. Kind of an interesting way to design it there. And you see how the modernists would love doing this. They could put a few extra parking spots, have the core as small as possible. It's just the entry and the elevator, and form follows function, I guess. There's some nice condos there. Yeah, it's same. You know, that's why historic preservation is important. That's why I show these buildings. We show buildings sometimes that are in danger of being torn down. We've shown some, like we went by the old butternut bread, the Schulte building on 55th Street, 55th and State Street in Washington Park. And that's a beautiful, it was built in 1914. The detailing is just spectacular, but it's in danger. Somebody bought it 10 years ago and was going to redevelop it as a data center, but they haven't done it. It's 10 years later. It's all wrapped up like a wedding cake now, or like a Amazon package. And like the Swift mansion's being restored. It had a fire. Look at this amazing housing here. This is what I'm talking about here. These rough-hewn stone here, this hybrid style. Look at the amount of flowers you got here. This amazing porch here. This is the Gold Coast of Chicago. And here's the Webster House. So if you remember that in the 1980s, there was a TV sitcom called Webster with Emmanuel Lewis. And I think the character's name, George Papadopoulos, he was Mungo from Blazing Saddles. What was his real name? But I can't keep it all in my head. But this is the Webster House. You remember that round window. This is a rare Victorian. This is a Victorian brick house next to this. I want to call that Queen Anne, but that's a hybrid. That's a bunch of stuff combined. Just like these are Richardsonian Romanesque. And then you got the gray stones. And then the condos that replaced other buildings here. We'll head west on Burton here. And we'll head over to Oldtown here. Hey, Mary Therese there, McRae. True laughter is cheaper than therapy. Yeah, you gotta laugh off in there. Yeah, I need to marry some money. Is there any debutantes online here? I dated a debutante once. It was very intimidating because her father was a real estate developer in Chicago, multi-millionaire, probably a billionaire now. And wonderful person. I enjoyed dating her, but it just didn't work out. But yeah, I remember, you know, I was in her nice place there, and she had, I thought it was a wedding. I was like, oh, it was at a wedding book there. She goes, no, that was my debutante coming out ball. Yeah, she actually had a debutante coming out ball that they do for wealthier people. And I guess that's kind of what the is this starting to rain? I guess that's what the quinceañeras are for in the Hispanic cultures there. Here's the, yeah, we show this here. Here's the Madler House. It's owned by the Graham Foundation. Schmidt's the architect. See the Graham Foundation. Schmidt was a contemporary of Frank Lloyd Wright, so this is not Frank Lloyd Wright, but look at the detailing. It's almost Louis Sullivan-esque. Look at the amazing detailing. It's geometric shapes. They were trying to move away from the Renaissance Revival styles and create. That's just like Louis Sullivan there, but this is Schmidt. I'll show you his name here. They got a plaque over here, and this is the Graham Foundation. They open this up sometimes. There's a lot of architectural relics here. Here it is, the Albert F. Madler House here. Richard E. Schmidt, the architect. Hugh Gardens, the designer, 1902. And see how prairie style. They call this prairie style, like Frank Lloyd Wright. Here's the, you see they got architectural elements all through there. And we'll head over to Dearborn Street. Yeah, it's starting to rain. It's starting to rain already. There's bands of rain already hitting here, so I better get home before these storms hit. Oprah? Yeah. Oprah's worth a lot of money. That's why she moved out of Chicago. She could live anywhere she wants. Look at these carnations. Look at these. Are these roses? Or are these carnations? Whatever they are. Very nice flowers here. This is Burton Place at Dearborn. There's a wonderful group of buildings up this way, but we want to head to... I want to show, because we talked about Carl Street Studios there, I want to show the Theopal Studios here on Burton here. We'll head over into Old Town. Here's a Richardsonian Romanesque here at Dearborn Street. Yeah, look at tree-lined streets here. Gold Coast, Chicago. Look at these arches. They decorated for Halloween so nice here. Yeah. A lot of money. 3.1 billion. That's amazing. Look at this coach house. So there's a coach house behind here. You know, the carriage houses. This one has one too. Sometimes the coach houses are bigger than normal houses. There's the nice row houses here on Burton Place, and then we're gonna go by the this is the Carl Sandburg Village here. It's mid-century moderns housing here. Carl Sandburg was a poet, wrote the City of Big Shoulders here, Stacker of Wheat. Here, I want to get across Clark Street here. Let's see if we can get across where the light changes here. Come on, turn, car, go ahead and turn, go ahead and turn. You got it, good, now I'm crossing Clark Street. So there's some Chicago Historical Societies up that way. This is Clark Street. There's a bike path here. Yeah, we'll head straight over to, there's a little park here for Sandburg Village here. Carl Sandburg Terrace. They got a little park here. And then they got like plazas and stuff above the parking. Hey, good afternoon. So Moon, if you go to my TikTok, pinned to the top are two videos. One is of O-Block with the King Von mural, and the first one is I ride a bike down 63rd Street from MLK under the green lines. I implore you to check them out and don't taunt people about O-Block. There's people that live there. We talked to the gentleman with the other woman there they were at her sister's house there by the Louis Armstrong house, and he said he used to live in Parkway Gardens in the early 1990s before it got more violent, and it's just gang rivalry between the, and so you understand, you know, why do I react badly over the past 2.5 years? Because that's disputed gang territory. People are asking live streamers to go into disputed gang territory where people have died over turf battles just for TikTok likes. And you can glibly, you know, from the safety of wherever you're at, taunt people But the blood and violence in this city is real, illustrated by, for example, I went down and simply filmed the Bud Billickman parade there on Saturday, which was a great time. Nothing bad happened. Everybody was having a good time, picnics and stuff. But in this country, America, not just Chicago, anywhere in America, you can find stories like this, where on Monday I was walking home from work and someone was like, did you hear about the mass shooting on 43rd Street in Bronzeville? And I'm like, no. And I looked it up, and we walked right through there on Saturday. On Monday, somebody from a car just sprayed bullets, random people. No one knows the motive. They haven't caught anybody. They drove off, you know, and doesn't help out the reputation of the city, because we constantly get examples like that where people ruin it for everybody else. But here's what I want to show here. So here's Burton Place. They called this the Oldtown Studios. This was the Carl Street Studios. So Edgar Miller is associated with these buildings here. Jennifer You Should Eat talks about it a lot. You see how they took found tiles and they put them on the sidewalk. The interiors of these buildings are amazing, and they have fireplaces and fixtures and stained glass windows. And here's the Burton Place here. This is in between LaSalle Street and Wells here. You see how they added they added all this stuff to the building. Oh, look at all the bricks, different color. You see this on Wells Street. They'll have these openings. They have, look at the detail of this around the door here, and then you can see the directory. There are studios. 155 Carl Street. Look how it says 155 Carl Street, built by the collaborative of Edgar Miller and Sol Kogan, beginning in the year 1927. Carl Street Studios here, Old Town. Look how that wraps around. Look, you got the little window here. You can look through the wall. You can see the nice courtyard in there. Wouldn't you like to just read a book there by that courtyard? They made this a cul-de-sac because they didn't like people driving through here, especially when Cabrini Green used to be on the other side there. See here, all around here there was a lot of artists that would buy up these things, and it was an anti-modernist movement. They were rejecting modernism, and they were taking found objects and reusing them, including in the back. They would do crazy glass experiments. Here's the with the stained glass. See how they found and this is how, you know, the giant heads from the Garrett Theater, which will pass probably going up to the Duck House on the Second City, same thing. It was salvaged by Richard Nickel from a building that was destroyed to build a parking garage. It was a theater downtown. We threw away these amazing architectural masterpieces like Penn Station in New York City. People salvaged the architectural items. Here's the fountain here. This is the fountain at Burton Place here. This is Old Town. Now this is Wells Street here. Yeah, sorry, Ann. Sorry for the loss there. Yeah, that's why we should take gun violence seriously. It always depresses me when people use it for cheap shots, because we all suffer under the threat of gun violence, no matter where you're at. And it's you know, people want to look down on Chicago, but if you're worried about in Chicago, why aren't you worried about where you're at? You know, you think you're immune? We're not immune here. Yeah, the world needs more love there. And thanks for tuning in. Anna Hannah there, yeah. Eliza, Bella, thanks everybody. Yeah, nice comments there. Thanks everybody. Yeah, Old Town. So here's Old Town. We walk through all the time. This is on my commute. There's the Topo Gigio. That's where the original Crate and Barrel used to be. I learned that by watching Jennifer You Should Eat. There's all these great Chicago live streamers that we learn from each other. I'm glad Keys Carter saw, when I was at Garfield 55th Street there, he saw that video, and he told me he grew up in Inglewood and Chatham there, which is even further south. There's the Vig, AOG's bar. So later today, they usually have seating out here. I remember last Thursday night when the Bengals had their first preseason game, there's a Ohio State bar here, and there was people dressed with their Bengals jerseys on, Cincinnati Bengals in Chicago here. Red Orchid Theater. So the Red Orchid Theater, Infinity Burns here, 33rd season, a theater, a real drama theater here. Here's Kamahachi Sushi Place, Woody's. Yeah, this is Woody's here. And they'll open up these umbrellas later. But this is Wells Street. We're north of Burton. We're heading towards North Avenue, Old Town Chicago. Yeah, I often joke, you know, I live in the big bad city here. I've lived here for 26 years. Yes, the violence is bad in Chicago. It was so bad when I moved here. It's still bad now. It'll be bad when I'm long gone. But when I go to, my father lives in the country of Indiana, and I hear more gunshots around where he lives because people hunt. People hunt in the woods. If you go in the woods or walk in the woods, you better wear an orange vest. Someone will mistake you for a deer. You know, that happens. And imagine that. There's so there's Zany's. There's a comedy bar, Old Town. There's the Old Town signage here, and here's Phil's Coffee. We'll go by the Second City here. Well, here, what time we got? 1:04 in the PM here. We still got a little ways to go here, so we'll cross North Avenue here. So you see where this Walgreens is. They want to build a 36-story high-rise luxury apartment building, but it's controversial. A lot of people in Old Town are opposed to it because of the scale. It'll be as tall as this building. But we'll see if it goes through. So far, I don't see any signs of construction yet, so I guess they're still in the permitting process or financing process or whatever. This is the Second City. The top is the Utopian Tailgate. There's the historic entrance to the Second City, and we'll show that. There's another entrance here. There's the Old Town Ale House. The Old Town Ale House is right there, associated with George Wendt, Norm from Cheers. Of course, he came through the Second City, and he just recently passed away. And you got all their pictures there with Belushi, John Belushi, and Chris Farley, all the greats, Gilda Radner, all the great Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, all the great SNL people that came through the Second City. There he is. See, and they got these heads here. There's George Wendt, and there's Chris Farley, Belushi. This is all the stuff here in the Second City here. And they think that's Mozart. These four heads, they came from the Garrick Theater. So Richard Nichols salvaged those when they tore down the Garrick Theater to build downtown. It was in the Loop. They tore it down to build a parking garage or a bus station or something. And you see those heads in other walls. We've discovered them in other buildings throughout the city. Yeah, I'm walking home. I'm walking home from work here. Well, people ask me to go places, that usually happens there. Yeah, there's people panhandling on corners. You often see that in Chicago and other cities. Here's that. We're worried. Jennifer and I are worried that this is going to disappear one day. This backside of a true Old Town wood frame house that still survives somehow, right? You get this stuck back there. This is on Wells Street, north and north. The original exit bar, punk bar, used to be up there. That's where Nine Inch Nails filmed Head Like a Hole video back in 1990, I think. And then it moved to North Avenue, the exit punk bar. I used to go to that iteration, but that sadly closed down over a year ago for health code violations. I hope they'll reopen it. Maybe we got a rerun on that. And Jennifer has a rerun on this exit, and I got a rerun on the one at North Avenue by Goose Island there. Yeah, Ernie, thanks for tuning in there. I know you got to get back to work there. Ernie's working a double shift. Ernie's, see, look at all the live streamers. We still have day jobs. You know, all this perception that we're TikTok rich is not true. You know. And most people, it's a true labor of love. They do it pro bono, you know. But here's Eugenie. There's the nice, see, Lincoln Park's that way. This is Wells. The reason I went this way, let's see if the ducks are out. No guarantee. Sometimes we walk by here, and there's like 4 ducks that live here on these people's house, these workmen's cottages. These are historic buildings too. These were built in the 1870s. True workmen's cottages, wood frame buildings that you see here on the left, these white buildings. This is Eugenie Street. We're west of Wells Street. This is called Oldtown, the Oldtown Triangle. It's a historic district south of Lincoln Park, part of Oldtown, 215 Eugenie. And here's the ducks. Congratulations, Parker, class of 2025. How you doing there, ducks? You enjoying the day there? Yeah. Look, it's eating from there. They're eating the food there. There is a turtle. I don't see the turtle here, but trust. Oh, there it is. There's the turtle. So the turtle's right there. And here's the ducks. Yeah, what do you say there, ducks? You having a good day? Yeah, this one's chowing down. This one's eating the food over there. Hey, Anita, you seen the ducks here? Yeah, thanks everybody. There's the turtle. There's our friend the turtle just floating around there. See, ducks and turtles can coexist. But isn't it so nice? We often see people pushing their strollers. They'll stop and check out the ducks. The dogs will check out the ducks. Really nice people. It's a little zoo there. They always participate in the garden walks and things like this. This is Eugenie Street, Lincoln Park, Chicago. Here's Crilly Court. So the Twin Anchors is down that way. That's where we met the guy that talked about Frank Sinatra. Here, we'll go up Crilly Court here. I might head back to the park because the flowers are so beautiful. I just wanted to, or we could just head up Sedgwick here. We'll see how we bounce out of here. Here's Isabel. See, they call it Crilly Court here. Here's the Queen Anne style. Yeah, who needs the zoo? We got the ducks and the turtle. Thanks, Eliza. Yeah. And the front yard there. Helmet, thanks for tuning in there. Yeah. Daytime ducks. Look at these nice stoops here. See how you got the garden apartment below, these row houses, and across the way these see, they name them Oliver, Edgar, Isabel. The developer named the different buildings after his children. Here's the Henry Gerber House. It's a National Historic Landmark. He founded and operated the Society for Human Rights out of his home at this location in the 1920s. It was the first chartered organization advocating for the civil rights of gay people in the United States. And he was persecuted for that in the 1920s. It was deemed offensive material, and it was just a publication. It wasn't like Playboy or anything like that. It was just advocating for civil rights, which what we now call the LGBTQ community. I know I'm leaving some letters out there. And Henry Gerber in the 1920s. There's also an historic house here with somebody associated with the Haymarket. The Haymarket, very important to the labor rights movement in the city of Chicago. The Haymarket affair, and people were executed. It was people protesting and marching for 8-hour workday and workers' rights here. Home of Michael Schwab, 1884. He arrived in 1879, German immigrant. He was a leader in the labor movement, fighting industrial workers faced different dangerous conditions, wages, 14 hours a day. He was one of the 12 convicted, but fortunately he wasn't executed. Here's what is it called? 226 West Paul, which is this building. This is where Michael Schwab lived. This building here. It's hard to see. Let me get away a little bit so I can show the building here. All the trees are great. This is such a great street. This is called St. Paul Street. This is St. Paul Street in Crilly Court. These people decorate so nice for the holidays. There it is. That's where Schwab lived there. And look at all these porches. Look at that flag. This is like quintessential Americana here. You know, St. Paul Street here, Oldtown Triangle, historic district in Chicago, north side. Not too far north. And here we'll head over to North Park here. Man, the trees. Portage Park is cloudy. I know there's rain coming. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to make it home before now the sun's coming out. Now the sun's coming out. Here's the little picnic table for the birds there, the squirrels. You can tell I walk down the street a lot. Let's point out the same stuff here. Here we'll head past the Menominee Boys and Girls Club here. Well, we got 113 heading home from work here. Nano Cat, how you doing there? Yeah, it's easy to get lost, but Chicago's a big grid. Trust me. Once you figure out the address system, you know, like for example, Fullerton's 2400 North, North Avenue 1600 North. You notice a pattern. They're a mile apart. Belmont is 3200. Addison's 3600. Diversey is 2800. That's north and south. Same with you go south. South is easy. So like we were at 55th Street on Saturday, 55th on the south side. That's 5500 south. Oh, you see a pattern. So if you're on like 39th Street, it'll be 3900. 47th Street's 4700. So that's how you figure north and south, the address system. State Madison's the 00. It's a big coordinate system, just like graph paper. Here's the Menominee Boys and Girls Club. They got a bowling alley here. See? And look, here's the Oldtown Community Center here. They just restored it here. Maybe that's what they're doing here. They're doing a grand reopening here. This yellow house is on the market, but the same with going west. I think Halstead is at 800 West, and then you get the Western, Ashland, 1600 Western. I don't know, off the top of my head, I'm not for sure if Western's 2400 or what it is, but the same thing going west. And so once you figure out the address system, it's just the coordinates, and you can kind of figure it out, and then they'll put it on the signs. But yeah, this yellow house is on the market here. Here, let's head up. Where we at here? Menominee. Oh, the gingerbread house. Yeah, the nice. See, look at the flowers. Wow, they got a nice green porch here. Yeah, I'll show you the Charles Wacker house here since we're on YouTube here. I'm sure you heard of Wacker Drive, and if you're in Chicago, Charles Wacker and his father Frederick Wacker both had a house next door to each other on this street. This is Lincoln Park West, north of Menominee. This is the north end of the Oldtown Triangle. We're really pretty much in Lincoln Park here now. But see, you got beautiful housing here. Look at that nice, look at the banister. Look at that. Look at the terracotta on this building here. Wednesday, no parking. They're cleaning the streets tomorrow. So if you live on Lincoln Park West, watch out tomorrow. Looks like they're going to clean the streets there. Canada, how you doing there? What kind of house would I construct if I could build one? I got to put my money where my mouth is. I live in multifamily housing. I live in an apartment building. I don't mind living in high density housing without a yard as long as I live next to the park. I live a half a block from Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park's larger than Central Park, and it has a lake in it. So, I live in a penthouse at the top. Here's no, I'm joking. Here's this is the Ann Halstead row houses. These are the Ann Halstead row houses in the Oldtown Triangle. Ann Halstead and her husband, they were developers. They're not the people that Halstead Street was named after. I erroneously used to say that. Jennifer, you should eat, knows that she told me it was a New York developer that probably never came to Chicago. But here's Louis Sullivan and his partner Donkmar Adler designed this. They started there. You see how Louis Sullivan started. This was early in his career, like 1886. And he started doing his abstract ornamentation. You notice how the cornice is different than the Italianate cornices. And he's got beautiful stained glass windows. This looks beautiful. Then they added this. They added these later as she developed out her land here. And here's the Charles Wacker house and the Frederick Wacker house. This is a true Victorian. This was the coach house that they expanded. That name sounds familiar. Charles Wacker was on the Burnham Plan Commission implementation, the 1909 Burnham Plan of Chicago, which they widened Michigan Avenue. They built Wacker Drive, both the lower and the upper part. and he implemented that. He also was on the World's Columbian Exposition Commission or committee, the youngest member, probably because his father was a prominent beer baron, German immigrant, and built this house. This is probably the house that Charles grew up in, and they stripped it down. The current owners, they like it, this rustic wood color, which is interesting. And there's a beautiful, you can look online, there's some interior shots of the staircase. Look at that teardrop door. Jennifer, You Should Eat, discovers other buildings that have that. Here's some Italianate. See, so contrast. See, that has Italianate elements like that, but it's like a hybrid. And here we are on North Park here at Lincoln Avenue. And I'm going to head over to the park. I just want to show you the flowers. I want to round this out. You know, we could go by the psychedelic Barbie house, but since the zoo's open, and I'm already spending far too long going over my allotted time. Mods, if you got something else to do, I understand. Don't worry about it. I know you. I don't expect. There's no pressure to stay on just because I'm streaming longer than I usually do at my lunch thing, but I appreciate everybody for being on here. This is Lincoln Park West. This is an interesting building. Look at it's got the mansard roof. It looks like it could belong in France, but it's got the ivy on it. We'll cross Lincoln here. There's the Hotel Lincoln, and the J. Parker's on the top. We went up there. There's nice rooftop views. There's a restaurant and bar up there, kind of a swanky place there. J. Parker. I got a rerun there on TikTok. But here, let's head over to the farm and the zoo, and we'll go over by the North Pond for a second here, and then we'll head up to Fullerton and get back to work. Nice treat there, Margie. Thanks for being on there. Yeah, get out of downtown. See, I'm doing. Usually, I just walk around the loop, and now we're getting some different content here on YouTube. It's nice. Look at this nice window box. So this is Wisconsin Street? Yeah. Wisconsin. Yeah, we feel bad for Wisconsin. Got that flooding there by Milwaukee. They got so much rain over the weekend. Hopefully things are calming down. Connie, how you doing there? Canada, Moonstar. Yeah, Parkview Apartments. Yeah, the Parkview Apartments are right around here. I think it's just north of. Yeah, you got this beautiful lobby, that Parkview Apartments. Yeah, sometimes they fly the Irish flag there. You got the nice verandas there. That's a nice address there. So yeah, the Air and Water Show's coming up. Here, I'll cross over here so I can get in the median. There's this little park here. So this is Clark Street here. It's 4 lanes here. Maybe I'll just run across here. There's a really nice view to the John Hancock here. Look at this. So here we can look straight down Clark Street and you get that nice view to the John Hancock, 875 North Michigan, 900 North Michigan. Here, let's cross. We'll head to Lincoln Park, Clark Street in Wisconsin. Here we'll go by, there's a historic marker. Here's another good view to the Hotel Lincoln. Yeah, the park view is right, well, you can see a little section of it right there, the park view. And there's another building there called Park View, but it's just a residence. See, they're looking at it there, the Hidden Truths. There was a gentleman, his name was David Kinnison, and supposedly he fought in the American Revolution, but before he died, he moved to Chicago when he was like 100 years old and lived here. So here's the last survivor of the Boston Tea Party here, David Kinnison. They're looking at it. This is where it used to be a cemetery. Sons of the Revolutionary War here. That's what this big rock is. They got horseshoe pits. Look at all the pigeons there and the squirrels. The attack of the pigeons. They're all coming out to the park here. National Lampoon's Vacation. I do show the Buckingham Fountain. What else did they see in Chicago? I guess he bought a car here. What else from the National Lampoons besides the Buckingham Fountain would be significant to show? To help me out here. I do like those movies though. They were starting from Chicago. Here's the farm and the zoo. So here, let's head over to the Peggy Notabart, or not Peggy, Peggy Notabart Nature Museum is north of here. There's the Grant statue. This is the farm and the zoo. It's open, and we've gone through it before. I've got reruns of it. I'm not going to do it today because I'm already wasting enough time doing this. No time is wasted. It's just used up. No, we're not near the bean. We did the bean yesterday. So if you want to see the bean, there's a rerun. If you go to the live tab on YouTube, yesterday there's an hour-long rerun. Right at the beginning, we went in the Millennium Park. We went by the bean there. We've gone by the bean so many times. You must be new to my channel. Thanks for tuning in here. I appreciate it. I'm heading home from work here because we're going to get rain later today. And I'm going to walk down into the South Pond here, and we're going to walk along the nature boardwalk and go in through the zoo because the zoo's open daily for free, but usually it's closed by the time I walk home from work after 5. So I'm going to use this opportunity to show you how you can just simply walk through the zoo. It's a free zoo. We won't spend much time there. I just use it as a way to get to my place because I live near the zoo. And look at these beautiful flowers here along the nature boardwalk here. There's turtles. Yeah, how you doing? And there's we'll look for the beavers here along the nature boardwalk here. So I work for an architecture engineering firm. There's many good architecture engineering firms here in Chicago, and I'm a city planner, so I do a lot of 3D graphics, visioning, selling the vision, showing people what things are going to look like before they're built, so people can, you know, we can go in front of plan review boards, get community input, parks, work with landscape architects, civil engineers, roadways, transit. I've worked on transit-oriented developments. And look how you can look back to the John Hancock for orientation here. We're by the South Pond here. This is Lincoln Park, Chicago. There's the Grant statue. We go by it all the time. Thanks for tuning in here on YouTube. I usually stream on TikTok in the mornings and nights. I'm heading home from work here because we got rain. See, this storm clouds are coming in here. I'm going to work from home this afternoon and try to do some laundry while I'm working. Oh yeah, it's a very interesting career. I mean, there's not much money in urban planning unless you're a developer, but usually urban planners battle developers. It's not that it's a existential battle. It's a matter of priorities, you know. And but cities are fascinating, not only for their history, because cities are made up of people. People are always coming in and out of cities, different ethnic groups, and people trying to reinvent themselves, immigrant groups, and people that have been here for... Chicago even has an indigenous Native American population. People don't realize that. There's the Native American Cultural Center further on the northwest side. It used to be an uptown, but it moved. They got another building. Here's and of course, you know, there's still members of the Potawatomi tribe, that nation that live in the Chicagoland area all over the place, and they got casinos in Michigan and Wisconsin as well. Here's here's the bridge with the nice view. Well, let's go up there since we're here. We'll show you this nice view. There was some photos being taken here last night. We saw some beautiful dresses and things. Here's where the cows live in this barn here. This is the farm and the zoo. They got dairy cows, and they got ponies, little ponies, and pigs and goats, chickens. Nature boardwalk here. That's what we're going around here. Moonstone, Margie. Yeah, cities influence people. Cities are interesting centers of culture and economy. You know, America always has a love-hate relationship with their cities. You know, it's illustrated by this current administration, seems to be wanting to battle cities. But our economy, whether you like cities or not, you can't live without them, because our transportation networks and finance and center of cultures and educational universities, all centered mostly in cities. Look at this wonderful view we have from Lincoln Park here in Chicago. This is a bridge over the South Pond. We're looking towards the Chicago skyline there. And see the Lincoln Park Zoo's right there. We'll head right down into it. This is Cafe Briar. And this is the north end of the North Pond. No, the north end of the South Pond, excuse me. There's the North Pond. There's that view. And there's a motorcycle on Lakeshore Drive. There's the Genie Gang Pavilion there. Hey, we got concessions here. We got concessions. I'm glad that Chicago's finally allowing concessions in the park. For years, you know, you go to New York City Central Park, you'd see a hot dog stand every block. And even in the park, you get drinks or a hot dog or some concessions. Chicago, they wouldn't even allow food trucks. And probably because they're cold winters and the restaurants felt like it was competition. But now they're finally starting to allow some concessions in Lincoln Park, which is nice. But you only see them in the summertime. But here we'll head down to the zoo here. Here's the natural tall grass prairie. We were here last night, the Comfort Station. And we'll go by. Yeah, I like variety, you know. I like good Chicago style pizza, but every once in a while I want some thin crust. Get a big New York slice. Yeah, the sky's getting dark. I better get home. I've been wasting too much time showing you all these sights here. But hey, I appreciate you tuning in here. It's not wasted time. We're spanning time. Thanks for keeping me company here on my walk home from work. Cafe Briar here. And there's some nice views. Look at the size of the flowers. You got some moss here. Yeah, the patio here at Cafe Briar. Outdoor seating, cocktails. You can go up there. There's a skylight. They got sunshades there. You can sit here and have a nice brunch or lunch. It's open on weekends in the summertime as well. Cafe Briar here. So if you go to the Lincoln Park Zoo, you can check this out. And then you can check out this nice skyline view reflected in the pond here. And there's a waterfall over here. So we'll be able to walk right. This is the Lincoln Park Zoo. So I'm not going to spend much time here. I got hour-long videos where we walk, check out different exhibits within the zoo, different animals. Check out my reruns there on YouTube. If you can't find them, just message me there on one of my videos and I'll find a way to send you a link. Here's the waterfall here, south end, or at the north end of the South Pond. And here's this nice view you get of the Chicago skyline. We're about 2 miles north of most of those buildings. And this is the South Pond, Lincoln Park, Chicago, just by one of the gates to the Lincoln Park Zoo. So now we're gonna go through the Lincoln Park Zoo. We won't spend much time here. I'm just gonna walk from one end to the other. And this is just a small portion of it. It goes down to that bridge we were just at, and it goes further north than where we're gonna exit. But it's not huge. The Brookfield Zoo is larger. That's in the western suburbs there, not too far west, but you can take the metro over to that one. This is called the Lincoln Park Zoo. And see how you can just walk in here. It's free, except on when they do the zoo lights. This is what I call the swan pond. They got the flamingos and the swans hang out in this pond. And there's waterfalls and things. Kangaroos are down that way. They got there's a deer here with antlers. Sometimes the magician hangs out here, but I don't see the magician today. I don't see the animals. It might be too hot for the animals. Yeah, it's a deer. So the great apes and the chimpanzees are that way. They got zebras, and there was alpaca that way. We'll see if the flamingos are out. Lincoln Park Zoo. All kinds of stuff. Food trucks. We allowed food trucks a couple years ago. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks for the good info. So Moonstar, yeah, usually after 5 o'clock I stream on TikTok. But tonight it might be raining. So if you don't see me on TikTok tonight, it'll be because it's raining. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to make it home with my work laptop so I can work from home if it rains this afternoon, which you see these dark storm clouds up on the horizon. That's some thunderstorms heading our way. You can check the radar. Anybody from the northwest suburbs, I don't know if Shauna, if anybody's getting rain yet. I don't know if Shauna's tuning in. She was on this morning, which I appreciate. I don't expect her to be on here now. But here's the flamingos. Look at the flamingos. Yeah, Lincoln Park. Morty, how you doing? Here's the flamingos. Lincoln Park Zoo. Chicago, Illinois. Here's the flamingos. So they hang out here. Yeah, we're eating the food. There's always a good crowd here checking out the flamingos.
This is fresh air. It's a dragonfly.
These flowers are just amazing here. Yeah, she's taking pictures of them here. See if we go out on this little bridge here. Here's where the swans, sometimes the swans hang out right here. And I'm going to this bridge to show you a different vantage point for the flamingos where it's not so crowded. They got this nice little bridge that heads across. The reptile house is over there. There you can see some of the flamingos eating their food there. Yeah, they got a waterfall. Yeah, it's very clean. Well, they clean the zoo, you know. Look at these flowers. See, we're seeing the peak flowers here in summertime. So there's a food court. This used to be the aquarium. There was a fish house, but they got rid of most of the fish exhibits when they built the shed aquarium, which is under renovation now. And Lincoln Park Zoo here. It's getting hot. Feels really hot and steamy here now. Very tropical. Yeah, it's very clean. So the snow leopards are over here. It's probably too hot for them to be out. How you doing? So here we'll head around. We'll go around by the seals here. And yeah, they sometimes they use this for weddings and stuff. And then the lions are there. I'll go over the top of the seals here, so you can see what that. It's a nice overview of where you enter the zoo from the Stockton side. But again, if you want to check out more of the zoo, I got reruns where I walk through here for an hour. We go from one end to the other. I'm just walking through here, trying to get home. Yeah, here. So they usually, like I think around 3 o'clock, they'll have a. There's a seal. There's a seal, and you can go underneath here and view it from underneath. There's, oh look, see how it's diving down. They're checking it out there. And isn't it amazing? Like I left there to try to get away from the people with the kids, and then they followed behind me, and now they're looking at me like I'm filming them, and I'm not. I tried to like walk away, and then they walked towards the guy filming, and I know it's just the. Here, we'll go back to film the seal here. It's always, you know, I don't mean to film field trips and people in a zoo here. I'm just trying to walk through here, and I'm surprised they came this way because they got a stroller, and if they went the other way, you wouldn't have had to take the stroller down the steps, but it's fine. People, same as me, just end up bouncing around here. Yeah, see, we see more of the seals here. Hey, there it is. See how it stuck its head out there? So they got the door open. Maybe it's getting close to when they're going to do one of the exhibits here. So here, we'll keep going here. Yeah, Taco, thanks for spending some time with me too. I appreciate it there. And thanks for helping out here. And hope you're having a good day. So we'll round it out here. We'll go through the nice planted formal garden here. The flowers by the fountain we always usually on in the evenings around 6:30 at night we head through here on my commute home from work, which is what I'm doing right now. But we'll check it out with the nights. We got sunshine here, so these flowers should be popping here. We'll just let you take in the splendor of summertime here. But see, there's one of the gates to the Lincoln Park Zoo. It's a free zoo. You can take the bus from downtown on Stockton. There's a stop. Here's people sitting on the Schiller statue. But here's the formal planting garden here, north of the Lincoln Park Zoo, up to the Conservatory. There's a greenhouse there, a conservatory, and we got reruns on all this stuff. And we'll head up towards the Belton Stratford there. Look at this nice planted formal garden there. Yeah, skateboarding there. People just enjoying the day here. A water creature. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice just to swim around your pond there? Yeah, we got some footage of the polar bear swimming around in his pool. Its pool. But that was from a few years ago. There's the flowers here. We'll head up to the fountain. But I'm glad I'm almost home. I'm getting really hot. I might even have to jump in the shower here. I'm just feel like I'm in a sauna here. It's really steamy, so it's getting humid before the storms hit here. But here at Lincoln Park, Chicago, thanks for coming along here. And so we'll do the air and water show Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They might start practicing on Thursday. I might just head into the office on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll see what the weather's like. But Friday, I'm probably going to work from home or take off the afternoon. Maybe we'll hook up with Jeremy, get on the rooftop and watch some of the practice. And then Saturday and Sunday, I might just walk along the lakefront and check it out from there. Or we might go back up. We'll see what others are doing. And yeah, it's always a fun time of the year. We did Bud Billiken Parade last Saturday, and we did Lollapalooza the weekend before that. Always something going on in the big city here. Thanks for tuning in to Chicago. We're at the Lincoln Park here, north of the zoo. Heading home. We're almost up to Fullerton. Here's the Lincoln Park Conservatory. And look at the butterflies and the bees. They love these flowers, and we love them too. And isn't it nice? I pay the high rent to live near here, so I don't have to mow the grass. The park district mows the grass. I come out here and sit on these benches and just contemplate the beauty of nature here. Wintertime, we can go into the conservatory. It's free. You just have to give them your email and get on the. They allow so many people per hour to go through there, and then you can just walk in for free. You just have to. But yeah, it's starting to get darker. The storm clouds are heading this way, so I'm going to get home, get to work. We'll get up to the. We'll end it at the Shakespeare statue up here. Thanks everybody. Have a great Westview Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in on YouTube. Thanks for clicking that like button if you like the thing. Check out my other content. Appreciate it. And I'm also on TikTok. Ryan Really Chicago. If you like this, then you're on TikTok. I got to be on multiple platforms. Can't put all your eggs in one basket. I'm gonna get some lunch too. Getting hungry. Yeah, Windy City. Yeah, May. Congratulations to Taco. Taco. You just like you've been talking with Taco for years, and we know each other. We've got this nice community of people that tune in. I appreciate my loyal friends and followers. May tunes in from England. Taco tunes in from Chicago. We're friends and neighbors here. I've ridden the same train with Taco. Taco jalapeno salsa. That's great. So yeah. And thanks to everybody else, Anita, McRae, and Chris, and Michael, and Mary Therese, and Shauna, everybody, Natalie, all the great friends and helpers here. Kahala, Jessica, everybody. Here's the Billy Shakespeare. So the Belton Stratford, we'll wrap it up here. So thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If I missed anybody, yeah, Brian, Ernie helps out too. How did I forget Ernie? Please check out Ernesto Chicago Nuggies. He's also helping me out here, and appreciate Ernie. It was so great hanging out with you, Festa del Sol. Sorry I missed you for your birthday, Ernie. Wish Ernie a happy birthday. He's got a birthday month there along with Nick Koiken and Overtime Seb. And McCrae had a birthday. TF, we had a lot of birthdays. And so hey, stay cool with the storms. We'll see you later here from Chicago. Have a great day, everybody. Ireland, thanks for tuning in from Ireland, Brian. But hey, thanks everybody. We'll see you soon. Eliza, Joe. Let's see, did I miss any questions here? Let's see. Hey, Moonstar, thanks for becoming a member there. I really appreciate it. There, I hear thunder. Flatworms. Yeah, I said platforms. I do mush my words there. Okay, there's thunder. There's thunder, so I'm going to seek shelter. Have a great day there. Thanks for watching. You can watch the full rerun on the live tab there on YouTube if you missed any of this. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.